Hi, in this video, I'm looking at these two problems here, where we're looking at trying to determine how many different ways we can order things. So the first one, we've got these people trying to queue for the tickets in the movies. How many different ways can they order their queue? And the next one, we've got a horse race with 12 runners, 12 horses in it. And we want to know, probabilistically, how many different ways can we fill first, second, and third. Now, because of these are all permutation problems. And the reason they are is because we're trying to do ordering. We're trying to order certain items or people into a certain number of slots. So in my first problem, we've got 6 people, David, Hannah, Georgie, Farah, Mark, and Cynthia, which we're trying to order into 6 positions because we're going to try and fit them all into the queue. So because we're ordering them, we're trying to figure out how many different ways they can be ordered into these 6 positions. We're trying to do permutations. Now the formula for permutations is NPR equals n factorial on n minus r factorial. And we can use this formula to help us answer these questions, or we could use the fact that a lot of calculators have an NPR button on them. Now, what we have is the number of things we're trying to order is n, and the number of slots we've got to go into is r. So to answer this question, I've got to do 6 people being permutated, being ordered into 6 slots. And so if we go and fill that into our formula, that means that we're going to have n on top here is 6, and down here as well is 6, and our r is 6. And so when we go and try to work this out, we're going to have 6 factorial on 0 factorial. Now we know that 0 factorial equals 1, so we're going to have 6 factorial, or 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, all divided by 1. And if we work this out, we have 720. So we could have just typed this as 6p6 into our calculator as well, if our calculator has a p button on it, a permutation button. Otherwise, we just go through what we know for the formula, simplify it, substitute in our numbers, and then we can go to our calculator and work it out. So that's the first one. There are 720 different ways that we can order those 6 people into a queue. Having a look at the second problem, here we've got 12 horses, which we're trying to order into the first 3 places, which means that we're going to have, again, because we've got order, we're going to have NPR, and our N is how many things we've got, remember? And our places is R. So in this case, where we've got NPR, our N is going to be 12, and so we're going to have 12P, our R, which is the number of places, 3. And then substituting into the formula, well, we're going to have n factorial on n minus r factorial. So n factorial means we're going to have 12 factorial on 12 minus 3 factorial. And so then if we go and look at working this out, 12 factorial, we'll just leave for now as 12 factorial. And 12 minus 3 factorial, well, that's going to be 9 factorial. And if we know the fact that factorial means we're going to have 12 times 10, times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, etc. But we're dividing by 9 times 8 times 7, etc. So everything's going to cancel out from the 9 onwards, meaning this is just going to be 12 times 11 times by 10. And we can work that out to be 1,320. Or as I said before, we can just put this as 12p3 into our calculator if we have a permutate button on our calculator. So there we go. If we're trying to order a group of things or a number of things into a certain number of positions or places, then we're trying to do a permutation, and the formula for that is NPR is n factorial on n minus r factorial. A lot of calculators have an NPR button, or we can of course type the formula in if we know what the factorials are, or we can work our way through simplifying it if we don't have a calculator, or perhaps if our calculator can't work with the numbers that we've got.